Hi, I keep running into posts where people are trying to export CSV files from Spark or JSON files from Spark, and they're having a lot of frustration with it. Um, what I was showing on the screen actually is one of these posts that I ran into. Um, it's This video was inspired by this post because I just see a lot of these people don't know what to do, because Spark, when you write a data frame, it is going to write the partition files. Is going to write a bunch of files, and that those together make up the data frame. So what you do is there are multiple things you can do, but one of the things you can do is to merge those files. So in the case of CSV files, as long as they don't each have a header, you can simply just merge them. So here's I just created a program, and I'm going to post a link to it in the description. What you can do. So let's say I have some test data here. This is my test data. It's written to a data frame, and I am going to, so let's just first look at what this test data looks like. So this is the directory where the data frame was written. So you guys can see there's 6 partition files here, and I can just type these out just so it's visible that these are really just CSV files. Each is basically a CSV file with just one line in it. So depending on your partitioning scheme and how much data you have, you have more or less lines in these files. But it's basically how Spark distributes the workload across multiple partitions, and it just writes them out. Like this. I'm in a test environment, but when you're in a cluster, if you guys think about it, this makes perfect sense, right? Because each one of those executors running on a different node is going to be each one of the scores running on a different node is going to be on a different file system. So it makes sense for it to write separate files. So the way you merge these is let's just create a file called tmp merged, which right now doesn't exist. So okay, that's good. And we're just going to run this program, and what this program does is it goes into the directory where the data frame is. So I created a function called merged partition files, and this will go through it will go through the source directory. It will get each of those files. It will move the bytes over, copy the bytes over into one output file, and that's all you need to do. And now you have a merged CSV file. One thing to keep in mind is if you have a header line, you have to skip the header line, because you only want to use the header line once in the merged file. But let's run this. So so it runs it, and let's see. I have some checks here, so I want to make sure destination file doesn't exist yet. It doesn't, and I want to make sure the source file is a directory, right? Because I want to go through each of those files, each of those partition files in the source file. I expect it to be a directory because that's what a data frame looks like in Spark. And then I just go through and copy the bytes over, merge them into the output location, and that's it. And now I can look at the file and say, okay, that's my output file. That's all there is to it. Now, if there's a header, like I said, you have to make sure you only write the header once. So that's just one thing to look out for. But it's really not that complicated to do it this way. Another way of doing it is if the file is not big, you can just use a JSON you can just use a JSON output library or serialization library like JSON4S, and then collect the data frames and serialize them as JSON. The problem with doing that though is you're losing the benefit of being in Spark, which can deal with any size data. If you do that, it's like doing a collect. So you can only really do that with small files. That's why I showed this version. I'm going to post a link to this in the description, so you guys can copy and paste it in your code, so you don't have to spend time coding it, and then modify it. Obviously, this is not production quality code. It's just an example. Thanks for listening. Bye bye.